G'day everyone, I'm the man called Kemosabe, the man with the plan from Land Down Under, and this is my very quick review of the Kamen Rider Black Ops Soulfinder crossover. Simply put, the book is everything you expect from the iconic comics team. Quality art, quality colour, a high page count, great dialogue, big character spots and feel-good moments. Tim Lim's art is as good as ever, and visually this feels like a natural integration into the iconic comics universe. While the story itself has some classic team-up comic moments, the sort we're really paying our money to see, the rest of the lore and story in this book, to someone who hasn't kept up with the individual titles, is dense, opaque, and a chore to wade through, and readers would be forgiven for losing engagement because of it. To make matters worse, the book is, probably necessarily, front-loaded with information. The intro page is as dense as a novel, and the first half of the book is chock full of names, places, organisations, secret identities and civilian names, relationships and connections. It's a blur. It becomes a vague noise that you start to skip through just to see the characters actually do something. And the book starts with an action scene, two of the characters tracking down an urban legend serial killer, which showcases the characters' personalities, relationships and abilities. But the next third of the book is talking about who knows who knows what secret society is warring with which organisation, which villain is working for which acronym, whose powers have changed and how, who's romantically entangled with who. To the veteran iconic comics fan, I'm sure it's all great stuff and makes the low price of the book even better value. To a casual reader, it's an information overload that slows down the whole book and throws up barriers to us caring about the story too much. Admittedly, most crossovers don't have long-lasting impacts on continuity. We're used to not caring too much when Batman ends up in Mega City 1 because you know he's never going to reference it in a DC comic. Conversely, the events of this book seem to be significant and a direct continuation of schemes and plots implemented in individual books. Characters grow and show new or advanced traits and attitudes. This is an important piece of iconic comics lore, so much so that any completist out there will be severely disadvantaged by not owning this book. I guess the problem is there really isn't a better way to do this. There is a certain amount of information that the reader has to have to understand the story, and most of the information comes from very natural sounding dialogue and interactions within the comic. It's just that there is so much of it. Sure, Lim and Co. could have opted for a simpler, more isolated story, one more accessible to the general audience, but they're clearly serving their readers, their committed fans. In the wake of over a decade of work scolds running the big three, it's encouraging to see creators not just cater to their dedicated audience, but really value them. I suppose the big difference is the iconic crew built their audience themselves. Every reader, every new convert was time and effort they expended. In contrast, the work scolds and SJWs at the major comic publishing companies inherited legacies and audiences built by others, and consequently they don't value them at all, and have actively worked to dismantle and alienate them. Even though I found this crossover to be an action-packed, deepest lore quagmire to wade through, the true fans of iconic comics are sure to love it, and that's what really matters.